Master Naima here. You are hearing my voice and seeing my face for the very first time. I am the CEO and thought leader here at Melanin Sovereignty. We are dedicated to teaching melanin transformational leaders how to highly monetize their high spiritual work. And today I'm talking to the few, not to everybody, not to all sentient beings on planet Earth, but to the few. The few who some refer to themselves as batteries, as the chosen ones. And you could have some other name that I don't mention here. But you know you're the few by your experience of yourself on the inside and your unique relationship with the Most High. So, a little bit about me. I have always been, which you can probably relate to if you're among the few, have always been different, the weird one, the black sheep of the family. For those who relate to what I've seen a lot in the Instagram world and the spiritual world, there's this, the generational curses go on, and then there's that one in the family that says, "Fuck that. We not living like this no more. We not doing like this no more." And they have the fortitude and the conviction because they've been endowed with a spirit, an unbreakable spirit, even if they've been broken before. What a paradox, right? The magic of paradox. And so I've always been that one that didn't like how the world worked. When I started to realize that there was a way that humans do this life thing, and I'm supposed to, you know, go to college and get a job and get married and have kids, right? And I was like, this is how this life thing works. This is not going to work for me. And never relating to the way normal people do life, never enjoying gossip, never enjoying small talk, never enjoying a lot of the rules that people are governed by. Like, this is the way it's supposed to be, and you shouldn't feel like that, and you shouldn't think like that. And right. And you never agreeing with any of that, while simultaneously knowing that there's something very distinct for you to do in this lifetime. You didn't wonder, you weren't looking for your purpose, right? Even though that you may have been looking for where is your expression, where do you come out, right? How do you do this thing that's being called of you to do? But there was never any wonder about you being a battery, you being among the few, you being called by God to do a very distinct and high thing in your lifetime, something that will require you to cultivate a power that is unseen and unexperienced by the majority of human beings, a way of being that the average human being cannot fully even comprehend, a way of navigating life, a way of building, a way of loving, a way of leading, a way of being that most human beings will never, ever, ever, ever relate to. And as I would look around, as you have looked around in your decades of living on this earth, the older you get, the more you realize how much you are among the few, how rare you really are, how uncommon it is for you to be the way you be deeply on the inside, perhaps in a way that you've never allowed yourself to be seen on the outside, because the people around you would never get it. They would never understand, even if they love you, like your mom, right? And your sister, the people who have known you since birth and care about you and love you, who you've cried with and traveled with and had fights with and had enjoyed awesome meals with and have just had so many experiences. And even in that, they don't really know you. They don't know the depth of you from which you will lead, from which you will be the first in your bloodline to steward the work that God has called you to do. And when you say, just as I say now, the work that God has called you to do, it isn't like this way that I have heard it, and maybe you've heard it out there in social circles or spiritual circles, where it's like this big old ginormous thing that you could never really do because, little old you, and right, you can never be that powerful. Wow, right? Mm-mm. If you're like me and you're truly among the few, it's already been communicated to you within yourself that there is absolutely no way that you will be fulfilled in this lifetime. There's no way that you will be able to rest well in your old age if you don't give your entire self and really get in the ring with who you were called to be. I mean, really get in the ring. I mean, allow yourself to individuate so succinctly, so deeply, so honestly, so purely that you are undeniable, that you're unstoppable, that you are clear, that when you speak, it echoes out and there's a beacon that you become. This is what it's like to be among the few. So I'm here today to call you forth, to let you know that melanin sovereignty is home base for the few. The fullness of your being, not just your spiritual self, not just your intelligent self, not just your awkward self, not just your sexual self, not just your playful self, not just your wounded self, not just your thoughtful, heartful self, not just your demon self, your entire, full, whole, raw self. What would it be like for you to lead from your full, whole, raw self? Have you come to know that that's exactly what it will take for you to be the first in your bloodline to steward the unique work that only you can do? Have you come to know that it's not going to be you following some seven-figure blueprint that you purchased on the internet somewhere from some coach or leader that you love and respect and admire? Yes, but that there is a unique blueprint within you. And in order for you to really follow that, there's an environment and in conditions to be had, and that you are to work with somebody who has the spaciousness, I mean, the true depth and spaciousness to be with your demonic self and your ascended self, your righteous, heartful, loving, compassionate self, and your selfish, undesirable, raw, profane self. And that the uniting of your multitudes, take that in, the uniting and fullness of your multitudes, without shunning any of it, without making any of it wrong or bad, because in doing that, you decrease your power. Melanin sovereignty is it. There is zero competition, as is when you individuate in this way that I'm talking about. There is literally no competition because you're so signature that it becomes impossible to compete. I'm going to say that again. You become so signature in your individuation. You become so one with your unique way, your voice, your expression, your highness, your way of being, your relationship with God, that there literally is zero competition. So until the 21st of August, I have opened up my energetic space and awareness to have these conversations with the few. Not just because I'm inspired and moved when you listen to me speak, and that's totally great. Like, that's wonderful, right? That's one of the reasons why I'm here. But I'm not looking to talk with you just because you're inspired by me, just because you know you would be lifted and transformed by being in my presence, just because you have benefited so much by eating from my presence and content over the last several years. I'm interested in talking with you if you know, based on what I've shared here in this video, that you are indeed among the few. You do not work your way into becoming the few. You don't study. You don't go to Peru or some remote village in Africa or Costa Rica and work under a shaman to become among the few. You are born as such. Even if you were born into a family where your mother was a crackhead and your dad wasn't around and you jumped around foster homes and you've always felt unloved and lost in the world. Even that, even having a life of that, or whether you were born in a gorgeous family where you were well loved and invested in, right? And allowed to really mature into yourself. No matter the conditions under which you were born into and lived, you do not work to become among the few. You are born as such. You cannot help it. Even if you have tried for years, as I did, to sort of fit in with the people, right? When you were younger, even when you were older, you knew how to get along, but you always knew that you were pretending. You always knew that you were the one who was different, and you learned how to pretend to be. You learned how to get along. You learned how to be a chameleon so that people wouldn't reject you and make you bad and wrong and call you mean names and make you feel ostracized. You have perfected that way. And you have lived long enough and you have hurt long enough. You have questioned long enough. You have been in enough conversations on your knees with God enough to know, right? We get to be here now. Now. We got a chance to be here now. When the world is wide open and you burning the way you do, you get to come forth. You get to say the thing, be the thing, do the thing that nobody else can say or do or be. You were born this way, and it's never going away, and that is a good thing. So I'm inviting you with such honor and anticipation, if you are indeed among the few, and you know that it's going to take your whole self, your whole self, all your pain, all your trauma, all of your insecurities, and two, all of your intelligence, your richness, your innate gifts and skills and ways of being and thinking. That is going to take all of that alchemized, transmuted, and united. And that it's going to require conditions. You being able to be in space with, whether it's in person space or virtual space, with other fews, those who are also among the few. Myself and Dr. Marlena also call us batteries. Your wiring is a particular way. You can't help it. Your wiring, it's not an accident. You're not doomed. That is your gold. Gosh, that is your gold. And I promise you, with all that I am, all that I know, ooh, gosh, it's so profound. And melanin sovereignty is home base for you. Melanin sovereignty is home base for the few. You are the core of the onion. Respect that. Accept that. Reach out to me in a DM wherever you're seeing this video. If you don't have a way to DM me wherever you're seeing this video, send me an email. My email is Naima at naimasingletary.com. Naima at naimasingletary.com. Here at Melanin Sovereignty, your wholeness will be cultivated. You will have full-on space to cultivate the leadership in you that is required for you to be in full, unapologetic power. Full, unapologetic power. This is rare, darling. And this rareness will be required for you to change the game. For you to be what people have never seen before. Take that in. For you to be what people have never seen before. You have seen it in your mind's eye, and your responsibility in your lifetime is to bring him or her forward, out. And how do you do that? You do not do that all alone. You do that in relationship with other batteries, with others who are among the few. So I am so compelled and so honored to be here today, inviting you into melanin sovereignty, inviting you into connecting with me honestly, intimately, fully, so that you become walking, talking rareness in your leadership, in your expression on camera, and leading your workshops, in your enrollment conversations, in your CEO consciousness, in your CEO consciousness through the lens of high spirituality, which you already do. Now it's amplifying it. It's amplifying it, making it real. No more running, no more tiptoeing, no more questioning. And if you are over 40, right, you're looking at this very differently than someone who's 30 or under, right? You've been around longer. You've had a chance to look back and see how much you've lived and not lived. How much you've allowed fear to govern your decision making. How often you have struggled behind the scenes, behind your computer, all alone, running in circles, trying to DIY everything. Melanin sovereignty is home base for your highness, for your wholeness, for your radical and lasting transformation, and making it real in this lifetime, on this planet, with you producing what only you can produce. So I invite you to DM me now, particularly through the 21st. I'm having an energetic opening to have these conversations with those of you who identify yourself with being among the few. And there's so much more to discuss. Feel free, obviously, to go do whatever due diligence you feel called to do. I'm particularly interested in talking with those of you who are like me. When I read somebody on the internet, I know instantly, right? And I choose to operate from my highest place versus the way my brain likes to make up diversions to keep me out of power. So if you know, based on what you've experienced here, and your high self has already communicated with you, I invite you with the fullness of me, my whole heart, my whole self. Yes, just as you will, right? In your leadership, and you're calling in others with your whole heart, your whole self, not ignoring or averting any part of yourself. What a glorious place to be in. And it will take time, and you can do that, and you will do that here with Melanin Sovereignty. So I, Master Naima, invite you in right now to DM me wherever you're seeing this video, or send me an email to naima@naimasingletary.com if and only if you know yourself to be among the few. Thank you so much.